So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now.
And if the Biden people feel threatened, you will hear stories about Kamala Harris as vice president that will not make her look good. Okay, so there's a closeness to the couples. It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way, and she will have a hard time defending against the stories that damn bursts.
You want to know what a sinking ship looks like, guys? It looks like this right here, because apparently Joe Biden and Kamala Harris behind the scenes are privately threatening and fighting with one another, both from the metaphorical graves of their political careers. And it really begs the question as to why. What is the point of this? You have Joe Biden, obviously, who is in his 80s. Obviously, he's going to be retired here. But even Kamala Harris, we heard the news earlier this week that, of course, she would not be seeking the office for the California governorship. And despite a lot of the speculation that might be the opportunity for her to run in 2028, when you really break it down, when you look at her popularity, even among the Democrat base, the fact that no Democrat donors or elites want to back her to run again, it basically seems clear to me that's not what's happening. As a matter of fact, her career is simply over. So, of course, it begs the question, what is the point of this? Why are you pointing these fingers? Why are they threatening each other's legacies? Well, when you really break it down, what you're dealing with here, much like the Jasmine Crockett story that we covered just a couple of days ago, is two insane, narcissistic egomaniacs who are basically just violently obsessed with defending their own legacy. So we'll give you this story here today because apparently in the wake of Kamala Harris releasing her tell-all book, you have behind the scenes a story here from the Daily Beast reporting that Biden allies, many of the people who obviously worked in his White House, advised him and all that, are threatening to release the dirt on Kamala Harris. They're threatening to reveal embarrassing Kamala stories if Kamala decides to take some shots here at Biden. And this actually ties back to something you saw earlier this week where Kamala went on Stephen Colbert and she was basically asked the question as to why, hey, how come in the 2024 election you did not try to differentiate yourself from Biden? How come, of course, when you went on The View and they asked you, would you do anything different than President Biden? You said, there's nothing that comes to mind. Well, apparently, as it turns out, there's a lot of crazy blackmail behind the scenes. I mean, we already knew that Biden in some ways did sabotage Kamala's campaign, but could the story be even deeper? Could it have been an active case of we will literally reveal your dirt if you say anything remotely bad about Biden? It's kind of a hilarious story. And of course, the funniest part about it all is as they both sit here and fight with one another, they're both irrelevant. They're both washed up. The Democrat Party even does not want anything to do. They want to move on from both of these characters. So that's why, again, I describe it as a sinking ship. Nonetheless, we'll get into this story here today. It's pretty funny. So folks, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content as usual, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribing, guys, is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that said, so let's start with part one of the sinking ship. I mean, you can't even make this up, right? You have Kamala Harris, an obviously washed up political figure. She is not running for governor again. You know the story there. Going on none other than the Stephen Colbert show, who also is recently canceled and is basically winding down here, right? All of these past their prime Democrat figures love to come together. But anyways, this week, Stephen Colbert basically asked Kamala the question as to why did you not really differentiate yourself from Biden? And as usual, you can see here, right, it wasn't a campaign thing. It wasn't like, oh, she was nervous because of the pressure. No, Kamala just simply is incapable of answering basic questions still to this day, because here's the word salad that she gave in response, which apparently it would seem made Biden people pretty nervous, as if they could even understand what she is saying. But anyways, take a listen.
But then you go to run for president yourself, and people are asking you to separate yourself from Joe Biden. People are asking you over and over again. I was one of them. What's different between you and Joe Biden?
Yeah.
That must have been difficult because you have to differentiate yourself as a candidate,
right,
and yet you respect this man who you're still working for at the same time. What was that like to navigate?
I talk about that extensively in the book.
No,
and
it's in the chapter with Doug.
No, it's because And I say that because you're raising something that you and I both know requires a lot more time than we probably have right now to talk about.
Are we in a hurry? Are we in a hurry, guys? Go ahead.
Thanks, everyone.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel very strongly that, it's an instinct of mine to be someone who does not participate in piling on. And I was not going to pile on. And I just wasn't going to do that. And there was a lot of piling on at that time, and I wasn't going to participate in that.
What? It feels like we're in the 2024 election all over again. You're reacting to another Kamala Harris interview where nobody knows what she said. What does that even mean? And by the way, I have to believe some of the accusations of private blackmail going on, because notice how she tries to dodge the question. Obviously, they're not on good terms. Obviously, not getting along. But she's like, I don't really want to talk about it. It will take a long time. Colbert's like, no, we have time. We want to hear it. And then what does that mean? I don't believe in piling on because I'm not someone who believes in piling on, and so I wasn't going to pile on. That was basically what she said. I don't know what's wrong with her. You know, I think she is just incapable of answering basic questions. I don't think it's a political thing. After all, you're not running for office. What do you have to lose? Just tell the truth. But I don't know. That's just what we're dealing with here. And it gets even more awkward because Colbert obviously asked even more Joe Biden questions as to why didn't you differentiate yourself? How did you feel when he completely fell on his face in the June 27th debate? And Kamala Harris, again here, clearly intimidated by something. It's kind of funny, actually. Again, that's why I actually believe the story here gives yet another just empty, soulless answer. And you can tell things are a little bit awkward, definitely, for sure.
Biden walk on stage at that debate, and it did not go well. Spoiler, it did not go well in that debate. Therefore, you became the candidate. At what point in the, say, month that followed that, did people start saying, you might need to be prepared for this?
Let me say something about Joe Biden. I have an incredible amount of respect for him. Mm-hmm. And I think that the way that we should be thinking about where we are right now is to remember that we had a president of the United States who believed in the rule of law. Who believed in the importance of aspiring to have integrity and to do the work on behalf of the people. And that's where I'll leave that.
I think that's a fine sentiment and all true. I'm just curious, did people say to you, you should be prepared for this?
There were some who did, but listen, it was Joe's decision. And he made that decision.
Yeah, sure it was. So let's get this straight. She's apparently right now about to release some type of tell-all book where she's going to finally drop the bombshell of what's really going to be going on here and all this, and then like my side of the story. And yet she can't answer a basic question like that, right? Just dodges it completely, acting like she's still running for office. What is going on here, right? But okay, that's obviously one side of it. Now, on the other hand, you have Joe Biden, who recently spoke just a couple days ago, actually, at the National Bar Association or something like that. And you can see, on the other hand, he seems to be a little bit, I don't know, maybe defensive, uneasy, something about it, because when, Kamala Harris is brought up, he's trying to reiterate here, which again kind of confirms maybe the suspicions that something's going on behind the scenes, to say, hey, Kamala, remember, I chose you to be VP. Hey, remember, you have to respect me, right? To kind of see what's going on here. So take a listen to his response, and then we'll show you the book, everything that's happening now, and this story that apparently they're threatening each other with blackmail behind the scenes. For what purpose, nobody knows, but take a listen.
And I was proud to ask Kamala Harris to run with me, be the first black woman to serve as Vice President of the United States. It was important. As president, I made the cause of civil rights and equality the foundation of everything I did. For example, I promised to have an administration that looked like America.
So there's Biden once again trying to tie Kamala back to him, basically saying, hey, remember, you're with me, don't forget about me, blah, 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 blah. So with all of that said, I think the nervousness is currently coming because, of course, as I just said earlier, Kamala Harris is about to release a brand new book called 107 Days, which, judging by the type of answers she's giving in public, you can imagine this book basically consists of extremely complex and well-written sentences like, I wasn't going to pile on because I'm not the type of person who piles on. Nonetheless, apparently this is causing some degree of nervousness within Biden world because they're kind of scared that in telling the story of her campaign, some embarrassing stuff might be coming out about Biden. I doubt it, given how scared Kamala seems to act. I mean, she's a complete coward, frankly, like at least tell the truth, right? But nonetheless, here you go.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals, always on behalf of the people. So thank you for being in this fight with me. I am forever grateful. And I cannot wait for you to read this, and I'll see you out there. Take care.
Now, I'm going to make a wild prediction, but I don't think this book is going to sell that well. I think it's going to massively underperform expectations. And the reason I say that is not just because, obviously the Republicans are not going to buy it, but I struggle to see how even Democrats would be really moved or compelled to want to buy this book. It's like she's just basically writing a journal in her words about how she lost and how much it sucked to lose, and here's some uplifting message at the end. I'm sorry, people will read books from former presidents. I'm sure people will read Biden's book. But what can Kamala Harris possibly want to tell that Democrats, want to hear, right? It's just basically, oh, so they put me in, I lost, and then I was sad about it, and it really sucked. And it's basically a bunch of self-aggrandizement, no real substance to it. And, I'm sure many Democrats out there are kind of frustrated with the fact that she lost. Just my pure prediction there. But anyways, nonetheless, you now have this story where apparently, behind the scenes, Biden allies are threatening to reveal embarrassing Kamala stories, according to a journalist here. So here's the story. So apparently, allies of Joe Biden will leak unflattering Palinesque, comparing to Sarah Palin there, how stupid she is. That's what that means, right? Stories about Kamala Harris's tenure as vice president if she discusses his cognitive decline, according to a journalist. So essentially they're saying that if Kamala talks about how Biden was having dementia and losing, he's blanking out, they're going to respond by saying, hey, here's all the times that Kamala Harris acted or said something really stupid, how much she was a low IQ individual, how much, Ukraine is a country in Europe and all this nonsense. So basically Biden is saying, we're going to release that in reverse if you come after us.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
So I'm definitely here to see that. Now, you might be asking yourself, who really cares? Right? Joe Biden is in his 80s. He's retired. He's just trying to live out his life. Kamala is leaving public office permanently, very likely. Who cares about this stupid blackmail cycle about, oh, you said something bad about me, so we're going to release a tell-all on you. You guys are both irrelevant. But that's where you guys don't understand the insane, like megalomaniac, egotistical, narcissistic, sociopathic, just deranged mind of a lot of the people who kind of orbit around, frankly, both parties of politics, but in this case, like Democrat Party circles. That's how sensitive they are about things like reputation and legacy, that, you know, let's like have insane blackmail against each other and then kind of make that the basis of our political party. So anyways, this Biden ally said here, quote, "I will tell you," and this has never really been reported, barely at all, "if the Biden people decide that Kamala is coming after Joe Biden," which they seem a little bit threatened in some cases because the book might come out and, you know, she's giving some vague answers about how, look, I respect Biden and that's all I have to say about it. Wait till you hear the Palinesque stories about how much they tried to help her be prepared to be vice president and be in a position to run, and how much they decided not happening. She's not up to this. So basically, when she was chosen as the VP back in 2020, they had to coach her on, here's how you speak complete sentences. Here's how you sound like not a complete idiot, even though she ultimately still did in the end. Because guess what? Newsflash, guys, Kamala Harris is just not very bright. Not the smartest person, right? So, you know, this is kind of similar again to what happened to Sarah Palin, because there's all this stuff about how she was unfit, she didn't know all this, you know, blah, blah, blah. But Mark Halperin, a pollster, said that the stories about Harris would only go public if she turns on Biden as she hits the media circuit in promotion of her 2024 campaign, chronicling the new book, 107 Days. I mean, I have to say, she might as well, because if she's not coming back, and, you know, it doesn't matter at this point. And by the way, she wants to sell the book because the book sounds totally uninteresting if it's just going to be this self-aggrandizing, like, spoken word poetry about how I lost and I'm so sad about it. You know how you could counter that? Why don't you drop the tea on Joe Biden? Why don't you actually go out there and release some information that people actually are interested in, not just I lost and I cried and I got to Hawaii and I got drunk about it, right? But, you know, that's what's happening right now. But, quotes, "It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way, because obviously Jill Biden in particular, but basically all of the family here, are these insane megalomaniacs." But Halperin added that Biden's team was actually extraordinary in trying to help her do the job of vice president that she obviously could not do herself. They gave her every opportunity. I mean, that's true. They did make her the border czar, right, if you remember. And they found in some instances that she had some issues. So you had a cognitively declined president and just a low IQ, idiotic vice president. I mean, what a combination there. So Harris has obviously stayed out of the spotlight, but the title of her book is referencing the campaign here. This development has sparked speculation about Harris's political future, although she has announced she will not be running for president now. So there you essentially have it. So Biden obviously is dealing with a situation with original sin, all of this stuff, but essentially there you have the story. So insane blackmail here going on from both sides, and I again want to reiterate, the funniest part about this entire chronicle is the fact that both of these people are completely washed up.
If she wants to run in 2028, what are the numbers that you're seeing about this right now?
Yeah, I would just say hold your horses here. The chance that Kamala Harris is going to be the 2028 Democrat nominee, they don't look too good right now, to be perfectly honest with you. Chance of being the 2028 Democrat nominee.
Do the caveat of like what year we're currently in?
I believe we're in 2025, though. It kind of feels like 2045. There have been so many years since just one so far. Look, Gavin Newsom is the favorite at 20%, according to the betting markets. Do not sleep on Ocasio-Cortez. AOC right up there at 15%. Buttigieg 9%. Shapiro 6%. Harris all the way down at 6%, basically in a tie for fourth place at this particular point. So if you have any ideas that Kamala Harris is passing up a potential gubernatorial run-in for 2026 in California and perhaps would be trading up for a presidential bid, the betting markets at this point, simply put, do not buy it.
Polling behind Pete Buttigieg. Okay, who even cares about Pete Buttigieg? Why does Pete Buttigieg even have 9%? Nobody has any idea. He was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, a college town in the middle of nowhere. He was then the Secretary of Transportation, who was not a very good Secretary of Transportation, and he is polling above Kamala Harris, who was the former vice president and a former Democrat nominee. That just goes to show you, right, how irrelevant and washed up she is. And it's interesting because, you know, in the month following the 2024 election, largely because of name recognition, you know, she was polling decently well in terms of 2028. But that is how much of an insane afterthought here, guys, she has become. And again, that's why I say you're watching a sinking ship. Last thing I want to close here pointing out is apparently there's a new trend in reaction to Kamala Harris's book where the losers of a fantasy, this is basically a fantasy football punishment for the person who gets last place among like a friend group. They're doing the thing here where the punishment for last place is that you have to read Kamala Harris's book and then listen to the audio version as well. And it turns out this will likely be the only actual customer base for Kamala Harris's book. But here you go.
Sports has a new punishment for the loser of their fantasy football league.
If you finish in last place in your fantasy football league this year, you will be locked in a room with no phone until you finish reading every single page of Kamala Harris's new book. And when you finish all 500 pages, you will be required to give the entire league a presentation. And if that presentation does not pass ChatGPT standards, we will ask ChatGPT if it was a good presentation or not. You will then be required to listen to the audiobook for 24 hours straight.
So fantastic. Harris's book about her 2024 presidential campaign will be published next month. There is as usual, Babylon Bee often produces the most accurate news there is, and pointed out that they could replace waterboarding with the audiobook of her new book.
Yeah, well, that's certainly about accurate. But with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think of Kamala's new book? What do you think of the internal feud here with Biden? Let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.